After the tomb boat emerged, 9 universe masters forcefully entered the competition. A deadly struggle for an ancient supreme inheritance, one powerful enough to reshape the entire balance of the universe ocean, officially began. The moment the tomb boat's entrance was fully revealed, Luo Feng and the others charged toward the cabin passage at maximum speed and rushed inside. What appeared before them was an unimaginably vast and empty plaza stretching hundreds of millions of kilometers across. The entire area was completely deserted, with nothing but a mirror-smooth floor and countless mysterious passages extending in every direction. There were no signs, no instructions, and no clues. The maze of branching paths concealed endless possibilities. Choosing the wrong route would mean losing the opportunity to seize the control core and unlock the inheritance. Falling behind by even a single step could lead to falling behind at every stage, permanently cutting them off from the ultimate opportunity. Just as Luo Feng struggled to decide which path to take, Lord Lukong, who was familiar with the rules of such secret realms, once again transmitted directions to him. The two immediately raced toward the central region. As they sped through the passageways, Lord Ing Ai and Lord Wuliang of the God Eye clan, Lord Liujiu of the Ancestral God School, and Lord Li Hai of the Skeleton clan pursued them closely. Long-range soul attacks, domain suppression, and deadly weapon techniques struck without pause. The Universe Masters fought while racing forward, instantly igniting a second chaotic battle inside the secret realm. Luo Feng followed closely behind Lord Lukong, fully aware of the other man's intentions. Although Lord Lukong appeared to be traveling alongside him as an ally, he was actually using Luo Feng to share part of the pressure from their pursuers. By dividing the enemy's attention, Lord Lukong could break through their obstruction more easily and seize the advantage for himself. Even so, Luo Feng calmly continued following him. Under the present circumstances, it was still the best possible choice. With 4 powerful pursuers working together to suppress them, Lord Luchong's speed continued to fall until he and Luo Feng were forced to advance side by side. While racing ahead, Lord Lukong openly exposed their mutual calculations. He stated that he had already seen through Luo Feng's thoughts and knew that Luo Feng intended to use him to attract the enemy's attacks before taking advantage of the situation. Luo Feng calmly accepted the accusation without denying anything. Both men understood what the other was doing, maintaining a delicate relationship built upon mutual exploitation and restraint. Just as they were about to reach the central region, Lord Lukong suddenly erupted with power. He lowered his head and slammed the horns on his head against a hidden mechanism embedded in the corridor wall. A deafening explosion shook the passage. The patterns covering the wall abruptly sank inward, and an enormous alloy gate crashed down from above. It completely sealed the corridor, cutting off every route available to the 4 pursuers and trapping them in the outer passageways. The unexpected activation of the mechanism left the pursuing Universe Masters furious. They immediately began blaming and arguing with one another. Lord Li Hai of the Skeleton clan regretted wasting his attention on Luo Feng, causing him to miss the best opportunity to stop Lord Lukong. Lord Wuliang of the God Eye clan began criticizing him afterward, mocking his earlier decisions. The conflicts between the different factions intensified instantly. They all knew that they could not break through the sealed alloy gate. Their only choice was to split up, search for alternative routes, and desperately try to catch up with the 2 men who had entered the central region ahead of them. Once the danger behind them had been completely isolated, Lord Lukong withdrew his strange beast form and returned to his original appearance as a bald man. He frankly told Luo Feng that his invitation to travel together had been a calculation from the beginning. His first objective had been to reduce the number of hostile forces around him, while his second had been to use Luo Feng's strength to restrain their pursuers. Now that the pursuers had been blocked, Luo Feng had already lost his value. However, Lord Lukong did not attack him. After roaming the universe ocean for countless years, Lord Lukong had long since stopped caring deeply about the ownership of treasures. Compared with monopolizing opportunities or fighting over supreme treasures, he was far more fascinated by the process of venturing into deadly and hopeless situations. Whether he succeeded or failed, he could calmly accept the outcome. Luo Feng remained vigilant after hearing those words. He secretly prepared himself for an attack, knowing that Lord Luchong's strength far surpassed his own. If the other man suddenly turned against him, Luo Feng would immediately find himself in a desperate situation. At the same time, Luo Feng could not help feeling emotional. Lord Luchong's carefree attitude came from the fact that his sacred land universe was eternal and indestructible, while his own lifespan was nearly endless. He did not need to worry about the survival of his race or the path awaiting his people in the future. Luo Feng was different. He carried the rise and fall of the entire human race upon his shoulders. He had cultivated for only a little more than a dozen eras, yet every step of his journey had been filled with danger and crushing responsibility. He had no right to disregard success or failure. With no further obstacles in their way, Luo Feng and Lord Lukang successfully reached the main hall at the center of the tomb boat. The control core seemed to be within reach, and the competition for the ultimate opportunity finally entered its decisive stage. They pushed open the enormous core doors decorated with intertwined golden patterns. A magnificent control chamber was revealed before them. The hall contained numerous ancient ornaments, mysterious treasures, and ceremonial objects. Every corner carried the supreme majesty of an ancient civilization. To seize the initiative, Luo Feng immediately used the simplest and most forceful method available. He released countless strands of divine power and spread them across every object in the chamber, attempting to leave his life imprint on everything at once and quickly identify the control core. Lord Lukang laughed mockingly when he saw Luo Feng's actions. He bluntly told Luo Feng that such a clumsy method would be completely useless. Lord Lukang had hidden important information from the beginning, and had never explained the true recognition procedure for the tomb boat's control core. He then revealed the third secret reason he had brought Luo Feng with him. Lord Lukang had intended to use Luo Feng to restrain the great powers from the first reincarnation era. Those ancient factions possessed profound foundations and vast stores of secret knowledge. They might already understand the essential mysteries behind gaining recognition from the inheritance, making them Lord Luchong's true competitors. Luo Feng immediately understood. Everything was still within his expectations. He abandoned his attempt to imprint every object, and instead focused entirely on Lord Luchong's movements. By watching the changes in Lord Luchong's expression and following the path of his examinations, Luo Feng intended to deduce the control core's true location through the other man's reactions. However, after only a short while, Lord Luchong's previously calm and confident expression abruptly changed. His face filled with shock and disbelief. He examined every object inside the hall one by one, repeatedly verifying each location, yet he could not find the slightest trace of the control core. According to the traditions of every previous tomb boat, the control core should have been stored within the main control chamber. This was a fixed regulation established by the hierarchy of the ancient civilization, and there had never been an exception. Yet the hall before him contained nothing. The control core had vanished without leaving a trace. The knowledge Lord Lukang had accumulated across endless years, along with every calculation he had prepared in advance, had suddenly become useless. He could no longer conceal the anger and unwillingness in his heart. Luo Feng chose that moment to speak, directly challenging Lord Luchong's fixed assumptions. He reminded him that traditions were not absolute. This particular tomb boat had undergone special modifications, and had clearly abandoned the ordinary rules followed by the others. While the two remained confused and deadlocked, violent tremors erupted from the passage behind them. The four universe masters who had been blocked by the alloy gate had discovered alternative routes and successfully entered the central hall. Lord Lihai of the Skeleton Clan stared at Lord Lukang with a mocking expression. He ridiculed him for making so many calculations only to gain nothing. Lord Wuliang of the God Eye clan refused to waste any more time. He immediately performed a secret verification technique passed down within his race. Golden blood scattered from his body and soaked every object inside the hall. This was a supreme secret technique the God Eye clan had developed after gathering knowledge across 3 reincarnation eras. It could accurately identify the core of an inheritance. Yet even this technique produced no result. All 6 universe masters in the hall fell into confusion. The tomb boat was a treasure approaching the level of a supreme true treasure, yet its main control chamber contained no control core. Every battle, calculation, and deadly struggle they had endured suddenly seemed like a meaningless joke. Just as doubt spread through the crowd and everyone's thoughts began to waver, An invisible ancient energy suddenly descended over the entire hall. Every conflict stopped instantly. Energy gathered above the throne inside the chamber, gradually forming a humanoid phantom dressed in black with long green hair. His aura appeared calm and undisturbed, yet he carried an ancient majesty that seemed to have crossed countless reincarnation eras. Everyone present instinctively felt awe toward him. This green-haired man, whose appearance closely resembled that of a human, was Duandongha Wu, the 192nd inheritor of the Duandongha lineage. He was also the supreme expert who had modified this special tomb boat and preserved the ancient inheritance within it. Duandongha Wu's phantom slowly began to speak, revealing an ancient secret that had remained buried for endless eras. Long ago, he had followed the general of the universe boat into battle within the ultimate secret realm. At the time, he had already predicted that their entire army would eventually be destroyed. To prevent his inheritance from being severed and to avoid disappointing the generations of ancestors who had come before him, he exhausted tremendous effort to modify the tomb boat. Within it, he created a special inheritance realm and preserved the supreme legacy accumulated by the Duandongha lineage across countless eras. The Duandongha lineage had always been passed down to only one successor in each generation. Every inheritor had eventually died in battle, making the inheritance unimaginably precious. Could never be allowed to disappear. Duandongha Wu had therefore established an extraordinarily cruel set of inheritance rules. Everyone who had entered could still freely choose whether to advance or retreat. Anyone who left at that moment could escape safely and depart without injury. However, once they stepped into the inheritance trial and made contact with even the slightest part of the inheritance's origin, there would be no path of retreat. Only two possible endings awaited them. They would either successfully inherit the complete legacy and gain a new life that defied the heavens, or every participant would die and be completely annihilated. There was no third possibility. Anyone who did not belong to the legitimate Duandongha lineage, but dared to secretly covet the inheritance would inevitably die. The cruel rules instantly crushed the atmosphere inside the hall. All 9 universe masters fell into intense internal conflict. Every person present stood among the highest-level experts in the universe ocean. They possessed supreme status and nearly endless lifespans. Ordinary opportunities could no longer shake their determination. The Duandongha inheritance, however, was entirely different. It was the legitimate inheritance of a supreme ancient civilization, possessing a complete cultivation system at an unimaginably high level. It surpassed every cultivation method currently known within the universe ocean. It could guide a cultivator beyond the restrictions of a universe supreme master and help them overcome the shackles of reincarnation. This was a heaven-defying opportunity that might not appear even after countless reincarnation eras. The price, however, was an enormous risk of death. Countless experts had perished throughout the ages because they could not overcome the limitations of their cultivation realms or survive the calamity of reincarnation. Even among the universe supreme masters who dominated entire regions, only those belonging to the 2 sacred land universes had managed to survive for eternity. That alone demonstrated the difficulty of reaching the eternal path. This inheritance was the only direct route toward eternity, but it was also an ultimate battlefield capable of burying the lives of countless powerful experts. Every universe master struggled with different thoughts. Lord Lukong had been born within an eternal sacred land. His race did not need his protection, and his own lifespan was nearly limitless. He could have lived peacefully and freely forever. However, he had spent his life pursuing adventures and exploring desperate situations. He refused to pass his endless years in an ordinary existence. He was willing to gamble everything for this supreme inheritance. Even if both his body and soul were destroyed, he would have no regrets. The experts of the Godai clan had lived through several reincarnation eras and fully understood how difficult it was to break through the limits of cultivation. They desperately hoped to use this inheritance to shatter those restrictions and reach the summit of the eternal path. The experts of the Skeleton Clan and the Ancestral God School were approaching the limits of their lifespans. They had already run out of paths of retreat. Only by risking their lives could they gain an opportunity to overturn their fate. Luofeng's heart was even more turbulent. He had cultivated for only a little more than a dozen eras, yet he had already reached the level of a universe master. His talent surpassed almost everyone throughout history. Even if he abandoned this opportunity, he was still confident that he could steadily advance and eventually become a Universe Supreme Master. However, Luo Feng understood that becoming a Universe Supreme Master was not the final destination. Across countless reincarnation eras, innumerable geniuses had stopped at that level. In the end, they had still been erased by time and destroyed when their reincarnation era ended. Luo Feng carried the hope of the human race upon his shoulders. Only by obtaining this ancient inheritance could he glimpse an even higher path and fight for a chance to grant humanity eternal survival. Even if the road ahead offered only a narrow chance of survival, he was willing to risk everything. While everyone continued struggling with their decisions, the hidden forces belonging to each faction finally revealed themselves. Lord Jinfeng of the God Eye clan, Lord Qilu of the Skeleton clan, and Lord Yenju of the Ancestral God School emerged from the supreme treasures in which they had been hiding. What had originally appeared to be a confrontation between 6 experts instantly expanded into a gathering of 9 universe masters. Only Lord Lukong and Luo Feng remained alone without any companions supporting them. These 9 powerful experts became the complete group of participants in the Duan Donghe Inheritance Trial, an ultimate trial that would determine the ownership of an ancient legacy and shape the future balance of the universe. Ocean was about to begin. Duan Donghe Wu's phantom appeared once again and activated the first stage of the inheritance trial. The floor split apart with a thunderous roar. A circular floating stone platform rose upward, revealing a surging crimson abyss beneath it. This was the only entrance leading into the inheritance trial. Duan Donghe Wu clearly warned them that they could still retreat safely at that moment. Once they entered the passage, however, their lives and deaths would no longer be under their own control. The trial would be filled with unimaginable dangers, and the deeper they advanced, the more terrifying those dangers would become. Only the person who ultimately succeeded could inherit the legacy and remain alive. Duan Donghe Wu placed no restriction on the number of participants. He even welcomed more powerful experts to enter. The greater the number of participants, the higher the possibility that a legitimate inheritor would emerge. With such an extraordinary opportunity before them, none of the universe masters was willing to retreat. Lord Qilu of the Skeleton clan was the first to step into the Crimson Abyss. His end was already approaching, and he had long since disregarded his own life and death. His only desire was to fight for a chance that might allow his race to rise. Lord Liujiu and Lord Yenju of the Ancestral God School followed closely behind him. Lord Yingai, Lord Wuliang, and Lord Jinfeng of the God Eye clan then entered one after another. Every expert from the first reincarnation era chose to participate in the trial. In the end, only Lord Lukong and Luo Feng remained inside the hall. Lord Lukong openly declared that he had spent his entire life roaming the universe ocean. He loved exploring dangerous places and had long since stopped caring about success, failure, gain, or loss. His sacred land was eternal and did not require his protection. If he allowed this unique ancient inheritance to pass him by, he would regret it for the rest of his endless life. Even if his body and soul were destroyed, participating in such an extreme adventure would be enough to make his life worthwhile. As soon as he finished speaking, Lord Lukong transformed into a streak of light and plunged into the Crimson Abyss, completely committing himself to the trial. Only Luo Feng remained standing alone in the vast central hall. He quickly considered the advantages and risks. Luo Feng possessed the secret technique of creating separate bodies, as well as the supreme treasure known as Star Tower. Even if his original body died, he still had a chance to be revived. The price of failure was something he could endure. However, if he missed this inheritance, humanity might permanently lose its opportunity to reach eternity. Thinking of the countless lives within the human race and the unfulfilled wishes of innumerable ancestors, Luo Feng no longer hesitated. Carrying Star Tower with him, he leaped into the Crimson Abyss. All 9 universe masters had now entered. The ultimate trial officially began. After passing through a distorted and chaotic space-time passage, the 9 experts arrived inside a trial hall covered in white mist. The first round of selection was about to begin. The universe masters silently examined one another, as hidden tensions surged beneath the surface. Their intentions had already begun to change. The veteran universe masters looked toward Luo Feng with obvious caution and hostility. Luo Feng had cultivated for only a little more than a dozen eras, yet his strength was already comparable to that of ancient experts who had cultivated for nearly 3 full reincarnation eras. His comprehension, talent, and potential surpassed everyone present. Under an inheritance system that selected only the most outstanding candidate, Luo Feng was unquestionably their greatest competitor. Every participant secretly regarded him as the most dangerous threat. While the factions remained alert and hostile toward one another, Duan Donghawu's phantom appeared once more and activated the first selection test, the secret pattern cube examination. A dark red cube-shaped device rose from the floor. Its surface was covered with ancient law patterns that ordinary beings could never comprehend. The device could directly examine the origin of a living being. It could investigate bloodline, talent, lifespan, origin potential, and every other relevant quality to determine whether a participant was worthy of becoming an inheritance candidate. Only one person could enter the device for examination at a time. No one dared to volunteer first and confront the unknown danger. The entire hall fell into silence. Duan Donghawu directly called upon Lord Lukong and ordered him to undergo the examination before everyone else. As the strongest and most experienced expert present, Lord Lukong successfully passed the first selection. He emerged safely from the cube with a confused expression but without suffering even the slightest injury, securing his qualification to continue the trial. Lord Lihai of the Skeleton Clan then volunteered to enter and became the first participant to be eliminated. Duan Donghawu directly declared that Lord Lihai did not meet the inheritance requirements and permanently stripped him of his qualification to participate in the trial. The examinations continued one after another. Lord Yenju of the Ancestral God School and Lord Qilu of the Skeleton Clan also failed and were eliminated. When the first round of selection finally ended, only 6 of the 9 participating Universe Masters had passed the examination: Luo Feng, Lord Lukong, the 3 Universe Masters of the God Eye Clan, and Lord Liujiu of the Ancestral God School. The remaining 3 had all been eliminated.